Nolly is a legendary myth from Roblox. In fact, he is not a real person, but rather an urban myth, a digital entity surrounded by creepy stories. He is one of the oldest and most famous Roblox myths. First talked about in 2009-2010, he is presented as a dark figure, often in a mask and with a mystical artifact Void Star. According to legends, he is stunned by superpowers, influence on games, hacking teleportation, creating viral effects, and much more. In ordinary circles, he is called a hacker. Nolly even formed his own cult over time. And yes, it was announced in Farsakian. But today is not about that. On the channel, Vibing Leaf released a video about Nolly and his vision of this character, not related to Farsakian. Today we will study this video. But before the video starts, I ask you to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for subscribing a lot lately. Do the same. I would be grateful if we gradually get 20,000 subscribers, so guys, please press. Of course, don't forget to put your like. For me, this is a huge motivation to make even more interesting videos. And in the comments, write your opinion about Nolly and your theory. And we move on to the analysis. It all starts with warnings of bright flashing lights and loud noises. Watch carefully because this is where things get psychedelic. You must leave immediately because once you release the beast, the world will be unleashed with horrific consequences beyond your worst nightmares. We are transported to a strange, static-filled location. Before us are two characters as well as text. The beast has piqued the curiosity of those unwittingly blind to its true potential. What began as a simple glitch in the system soon grew into a malignant parasitic tumor caused by something more deeply woven into the fabric of their present reality. The black entity is transferred to a dark location with a giant temple. He begins to examine absolutely everything very carefully, but nothing is visible. There is only darkness around. Still, then he moves towards the temple. He climbs the steps, looks around, but there is nothing here except for the red dot that he saw. He moves towards it, closer and closer. It turns out that this dot is a three-dimensional triangle, and in front of it stands the same entity. Eventually, it gained consciousness. Insatiable desire to understand its purpose, it values those visitors who are willing to help it. We foresaw that your curiosity, despite all warnings, would eventually get the better of us. That is why it yearns for you to free it before its darkness becomes unbearable. Let's stop for a moment and I will explain what has been happening in these past few minutes. First of all, remember at the beginning I said that this monster has its own cult? Well, we are watching from the point of view of one of its representatives, or simply from a fanatic who seems to be eager to revive Nolly. Although everyone says that this cannot be done, it is unsafe. But still he does not care and moves on in search of a cage. Yes, this Nolly is so dangerous that he was even locked in a cage in the game itself, so that he could not harm the players, and of course the game. Everything continues, we are in the same location, but we are back to the original point and there is more interference. The darkness has been replaced by some broken pixels, which are probably holding Nolly back. Maybe it is some kind of encrypted code that is trying to hide him, but the player is moving deeper. There is still a man standing inside this temple, and then this happens. You are not the first to try this freedom. Many have tried before you, but ultimately failed. It is not their fault. We were not very careful and were quickly caught due to unusual actions. Here we are already speaking from the point of view of the cultists who tried to find Nolly, but nothing worked. They were either banned or exposed. There were many attempts, and do you think the player we are watching will be able to reach this monster and revive it? Let's move on. The player is teleported to some brighter location, but it still looks like some kind of strange temple. In front of the player is a pink crypt, and inside it is a coffin. In front of the player is a pink crypt, and inside it is a coffin, after which the text appears. Their bodies are buried here in memory of their victims. And yes, there are a lot of these victims, even too many. I think you see that. But alas, we finally have a well-thought-out path. No one can stop us, no one will harm us. Trust my voice, let it guide you and set you free. As this text comes in, we see more and more of Nolly himself. I think it is he who communicates with the player and not one of the cultists. At first we saw some strange shadow in the darkness, then it appeared, but then it seemed to me that these were just some hints. But now everything becomes obvious. Nolly inspired the player that he needs to move along the path, and this path is paved by Nolly himself. A truly interesting character who can even communicate when he is in a cage, deep in a cage. Then we are transported to the same location with the temple that we saw before, but now everything is reddish, and the temple is half destroyed. There are no columns, walls, in general. Everything looks terrible. The player also approaches the entity and teleports again, and we see the text. You are our only hope to bring it back, our storm, our creation, to restore everything we built, to make Robloxia the home it should be. Don't stop, you are getting closer. Yes, the player finally reached zero. Here is his cage and chains around him. And the red triangle was a guide which he had to follow to get to this very place. The deed is done, the player steps on this red triangle and a mask appears, as well as the inscription, "The End." He himself appears before us, puts on a mask and his crown. He got out of his terrible prison and rose from the dead. The text that appears on the screen simply proves it. He is back. He also offers a prize, but he needs to think for a while about what to give. He thinks for a while, then the idea finally comes to him. He knows what is needed. Become one of us. Let's spread our name and let it work. Let's restore Tempest and make it a real home in Roblox. Soon we will understand the purpose of this seemingly meaningless life. This is where the video ends. Now let me put it all together and retell it. It all starts with two characters who seem to agree that they need to revive Nolly. Then the gray player teleports the main character, or the black entity, to that very black temple. The black temple is Nolly's prison, in which he is imprisoned. The main character just needs to break through this prison, destroying it and releasing Nolly. Gradually, the locations change. He breaks through the walls. Perhaps by chance, he even manages to see Nolly's victims. Perhaps these are the victims that Nolly himself destroyed, or those who could not reach Nolly and revive him. I think there are both. In the end, the temple collapses. The player manages to almost reach Nolly. All this time, Nolly communicated with the protagonist, leading him to the goal. In the end, Nolly managed to revive him, free him from the chains. Now he is back in this world. This is the story. The cult was touched upon a little. Nolly himself, I like this video. In the end, Nolly even accepted the player into the cult and also, it seems, invited other players to join. Of course, perhaps I did not understand some moments in the plot, perhaps I did not study something, so write in the comments where I was wrong, write your theories or visions of the plot. Don't judge me too harshly. I'm gradually getting into the myths of Roblox, gradually learning everything, and I hope I'll become an expert someday. Especially with your comments, which teach me something, I'll become an expert much faster, so write. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, put your like, and thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.